If you have been struggling to get sales from your design work or understanding what you really need to do to make money, I have the workshop for you. On September 23rd, I'm hosting my first ever Profitable Designer Workshop. This 1-day, 3-hour workshop is only $97, but I have a discount for all my podcast listeners. Go to carinagardnercourses.com/profit and put in the code podcast for $50 off. I can't wait to see you more profitable. Welcome to the Make and Design Podcast. I'm your host, Carina Gardner. On this podcast, we're unraveling the everyday joys and dilemmas of design, making, and business. For makers who want to be designers and for designers who are makers, this is your inside scoop to help you grow your business and bring more creativity to your life. Hey guys, today we're going to talk about long-term versus short-term strategy. You're not going to want to miss what I've got to say about this because I think very often as designers, I teach a long-term strategy of design where money comes in over a longer period of time. It gives you the flexibility, the freedom, all that other good stuff, okay? It's how we also build up the residual income. But many times designers think, well, if I'm building this long-term strategy, then I'm not going to make very much money at the beginning, which is true. It takes a lot longer to build this up. It's what I've been able to do in my career. And so I can make a lot of money now because I've been doing it for such a long time. So here's the deal, you guys. You got to add some short-term strategy to all that great long-term strategy, which, by the way, if you want to learn long-term strategy, go to one of my design boot camps because that's where we talk about building up a design career and building that long-term strategy. So if you are looking at short-term strategy, you're probably going, well, what short-term strategy, Carina? Well, that's contracts, you guys. That's contracts and it's freelance work. So if you need a short-term strategy because you're like, I need to make money now as a designer, then you should be seeking after freelance work items and contracts. Now, you guys know that most programs out there, and I talk about this all the time, are always saying, oh, you have to get a contract. You have to get a contract. There's only so much you can do. You need to have a contract, okay? And they very rarely do I hear anybody talking about the long-term strategy of internet online marketing, doing your products in online shops and going fully digital, which you guys know is where I've made most of my money. I would say 95% of the money I've made over the last 14 years as a designer has come from that, not from contracts, okay? But there are short-term contracts that can be helpful for short-term money endeavors, okay? And a lot of that comes from freelance, doing logo work, doing brochures, branding things that actually are easier to do for those of you who have been learning to become surface pattern designers. Doing this kind of work, it's different. It's just different work. But once you know how to do the basics and all these other things you're doing, crafting design, SVG design, I think SVG designers in particular, you guys can be logo designers because you're doing all the things that a logo designer can do, okay? And I think I don't talk about this enough, and the reason it came up for me is because I just added a freelance design masterclass. It's got 5 modules in it. We talk about how to get clients online, places you can go, and then, pricing, everything you need, contracts. We give you a contract, proposal, like all the things in this class to get you started. And it's actually the first class that we are teaching outside of the program. So you can actually purchase just the freelance designer masterclass on my website. Before all the rest of our courses, you have to be in the program to get, but this one is a good standalone course, and I made sure that we kept it that way so that my Design Suite members could get it. So those of them who want that short-term strategy right now while they're building the long-term strategy, they could do it. But those of you who wanted to get started in freelance, you had a starting guideline, right? Like you could just get started with this and kind of figure out what you needed to do to start a little design business. Now, you do need to know a bit of Illustrator before you take this course. So you need to have a little bit of background. You could have taken Illustrator courses. You could have done a bunch of free tutorials online. But my recommendation is that you feel comfortable enough in Illustrator that you could take a course like this and be able to move quickly with me, because I do move really quickly. So you can go check that out on my website at carinagardnercourses.com. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so let's talk about this short-term strategy even more. So I know many of you need to make just a little bit of extra money so that you can prove to your spouse or your partner, I don't believe you have to do that, but some of you feel like you need to do that, that doing this design thing is profitable. It's something that could make you a little bit of extra money. Or maybe you just want to do it because you want to see if you can do it and you like the challenge of it. So this short-term strategy of doing some freelance work, there's so many places online you can go, and I talk about a couple of them in the class, but you can find clients online. But furthermore, I bet many of you have people in real life who are looking for someone to make a logo for them, someone to put some packaging together for them, and they trust, know, and like you because they know you in real life. And if you can cater your services out there to people you know, and you'll have to start out at lower prices to begin with, that is a great way to have some income coming in now, you guys. Have a little bit of income coming in now. How powerful is that? Pretty darn powerful. So my recommendation for those of you who are like, I gotta make a little money now, do some freelance work. Okay, contracts are harder, but there are actually contracts out there you can get as well that are teeny tiny contracts, and they're different contracts, but you can find lots of different ways online to make money. It just is crazy to me, especially if you have a skill set, which is my goal for you, especially those of you in design. You have a skill set. You know how to design. You know how to design patterns. You know how to design SVGs and sublimation files. You know how to design, you know how to set things up correctly so that a production team is going to be so excited to have you as their designer, okay? Because you're sending everything correct to the printer. It makes everyone so happy. So let me know if you have any questions about that by hopping over to my Instagram feed at Carina Gardner. I'd love to see you there. We're giving away tons and tons of PDFs to help you get started as a designer. Check out what we have going on there. I'd love to see you there. But for those of you who are thinking about this, just know there are short-term and long-term strategies that you can utilize in your design business, and I utilized for years and years and years, right? The creative director thing that I did, that was what I consider a short-term strategy. It wasn't going to pay me for the rest of my life, right? Whereas I had digital going on, and I knew those would. I knew that those would bring me in residual income for a very, very long time. So some ideas to get your brain cooking on things that can kind of help you as you get started as a designer. I hope that you take this and you can run with it, and I will talk to you soon. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.